welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason, just a little bit north of Uniontown, Pennsylvania. There's a couple things related to the National Road history I'd love to show you. One of them is Searight's Tollhouse, and then the other one is a statue. But I'm going to take you to the Searight's Tollhouse first. So a little history before I show you the building. I'm not going to be going in, just going to the outside. But after Congress pretty much stopped paying for the road, tolls were imposed, and that's when people had to pay to use the road. And this was during pretty much 1840s to the 1870s, somewhere in that time frame. But I will show you this historical marker right behind me before we go up there. All right, so this one was put up by the Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission, called Tollhouse. I always think of Toll House cookies, but one of the 6 original toll houses on the Cumberland International Road. It was built by the state after the road was turned over to it by the U.S. in 1835. The road was completed through this section in 1817 to 1818. Okay, well, I like how some of these are really brief, but I'm gonna go all the way up there. And this here, all it says is erected by Pennsylvania, 1835, to collect tolls on the old National Road. I doubt if it says anything different here. Looks like they need to mow the grass here. Yeah, it says the same. So this is one of 2 surviving toll houses out of 6 built by the state of Pennsylvania. I am planning on visiting the other one. It's not too far from the Maryland border. But as for this one has been restored by the state and is now maintained by the local historical society. In 1964, it was dedicated or designated as a National Historic Landmark. Let me see if that's the plaque on there. And then 2 years later, 1966, National Register of Historic Places. So, surviving family members of William Searight relocated into Pittsburgh. And as far as the architecture of this building, yes, it is brick, and its most prominent feature is a 2-story octagonal tower about 20 feet tall. Huh. And then there's a single-story porch and extends around 3/4 of the tower. And the building was designed so that the toll keeper had good views of the road in both directions, and was originally fitted with a swinging gate that would block the road. Okay, so I'm not really trespassing, but I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm just recording. And the reason it is called Searight's Tollhouse is because it was built near the tavern that was owned by William Searight. And he's actually got some, according to Wikipedia, he's actually got some surviving blood descendants. But tolls were collected on the road until the 1870s, after which the toll house went abandoned. So, kind of interesting that it's been here all this time. And here's that National Historical Landmark, 1964. Can you dig it? And on top of that is an electronic candle. I imagine they probably used real candles back in the day. Welcome to Gate 3 on the National Road. So there's a little bit more historical information, but I'm not going to read all of it. But I will say, it does say here that no highway in America has a more historic background or played a more important part of the opening of the Western Territory than the old National Road. But it does mention other roads like the Boston Post Road, Boone's Trace, the Natchez Trace, the Oregon Road, the Santa Fe Trail, how they all had their places in American history. And it says here Searight was actually the name of the village here, but it's probably now a ghost town. Searight was also a contractor for the road and was later appointed commissioner of the Pennsylvania section, but he seems to have had no connection with the toll house. Okay, so it has his name on it, but whatever. Oh, here we go. The rates of toll. This is a great job. So say you wanted to carry a score of cattle, 12 cents. Every led or drove horse, mule, or ass, 3 cents. If you had for every other carriage of pleasure by whatever name it may be called, the same according to the number of wheels and horses drawing the same, doesn't say. Every cart or wagon whose wheels exceed 3 inches and does not exceed 4 inches in breadth, for every horse or pair of oxen drawing the same, 4 cents. And if you told them no, I'm not going to pay the toll, any person refusing or neglecting to pay the toll, you were fined $3. And that was a lot of money back then. I don't even know what $3 is in that during that time period. And I'm going to check out that sculpture over there real quick. It's like a sheep herder. Now I'm sure they have all kinds of events here, and there's public restrooms, but I'm not even gonna try and go in there. I'm sure they're closed. Somebody probably comes in here randomly and opens them. So this is probably somebody just telling people, hey, sheep, go that way. So down here it says, after 1838, the federal government no longer appropriated funds for national road maintenance to pay for its upkeep. Pennsylvania and other states began collecting tolls based on the type of vehicle traveling the road and the types of animals that were being led to market. Tolls remained in effect in some areas until 1910. Okay. And it looks like there's one of those replica mile marker posts. Let's see what it says. And so here's what it says: 68 miles to Cumberland, 5 miles to Uniontown, and then Wheeling, West Virginia, which is that way, where I spent the night last night, is 63 miles. So I'm just about at the halfway point. I think it was probably 2 or 3 miles ago where it would have been the halfway point between here in Cumberland, and I am planning on staying overnight in Cumberland, Maryland tonight and finishing the road. Brownsville is 7 miles that way, and Uniontown is that way. All right, now I'm in downtown Uniontown, downtown Julie Brown. Okay, and in front of me is that statue I was hoping to check out and show you guys. I'm not really sure what they're holding. Maybe it's a map, but Thomas Jefferson is on the left, and the Treasury Secretary Albert Gallatin is next to him, who's the guy pointing at some random place. But as I've heavily advertised throughout this series, Thomas Jefferson was the one that got the road off the ground. Well, on the ground, I should say. George Washington fantasized about a road that the United States would, go westward, and people would migrate to other parts of the country and settle and create new towns and cities and see how the United States progressed with transportation. And so they did. There's this plaque right here. After receiving reports from the Lewis and Clark expedition in the summer of 1803, President Thomas Jefferson realized that in order for the United States to reach its full potential, it must expand westward and be facilitated by the central government. Jefferson turned to his Treasury Secretary Albert Gallatin, who formulated the plan to fund the construction of the National Road, making it the first federally funded highway project in the United States history. All right, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in Uniontown, Pennsylvania, signing off.